Hello children, I hope you are all happy and safe. Welcome to this special English hour. Here every day you will be learning something new in a fun and interesting way. Children, now I would like to ask you a few questions. Let us share our thoughts and ideas. बच्चों, अब मैं आपसे कुछ सवाल पूछना चाहूंगी. Can you tell me the names of seasons in India? क्या आप मुझे भारत के मौसम के नाम बता सकते हैं? In India, we have summer, winter and monsoon season. Okay, how long do these seasons stay? ये मौसम कितने महीनों तक रहते हैं? Each season stays for 4 months. Is from February, March, April till May. The monsoon season begins from June, July, August and September. The winter season is from October, November, December and January. Now tell me, what are the different activities that we do during the different seasons? अलग-अलग मौसमों में हम क्या-क्या करते हैं? So in summer, we find it pleasant to go for walks, to go cycling and to eat mangoes. In monsoon, we enjoy the rains and we go for picnics at places where there are waterfalls. In winters, when it's cold outside and when we go outside, we make sure to wear a scarf and our sweaters. Children, we will be reading a wonderful lesson today. If you have a textbook, please open to page number 8. Please point to the words as I read. And if you don't have a textbook, please listen carefully. The lesson that we will be reading today is the 12 months. Come, let's begin. Once upon a time, in a faraway country, there lived a mother who had 2 daughters. One was her own child. The other was her stepdaughter. She was very fond of her own daughter, but she hated her stepdaughter. The only reason was that Morukla, the stepdaughter, was prettier than her own daughter, Helena. What is the story about? The story is about a mother and her 2 daughters. Her one daughter is her stepdaughter. Her name is Morukla. The other daughter is her own. Her name is Helena. Morukla was prettier than Helena, and that is why the mother did not like Morukla very much. The gentle-hearted Morukla did not know how beautiful she was, and so she could never make out why her mother was always so cross with her. Morukla had to do all the housework, tidying up the cottage, cooking, washing, spinning, weaving and sewing. She liked work and she did it all without a word of complaint, while Helena spent the time adorning herself and lazing about. Even then, Helena and her mother scolded and rated and abused Morukla every day. They envied her so much that one day they decided to throw her out in the freezing cold to get rid of her. Go, Morukla, and get me some violets from the forest. I want to wear them and to smell them, said Helena. But, my dear sister, it is impossible to find violets in the snow, said poor Morukla. How dare you argue when I tell you to do something? Off you go at once, and if you don't bring me violets from the forest, I'll kill you, said Helena threateningly. What did Helena ask Morukla to get? Helena asked Morukla to get violets from the forest. Morukla told her sister, Helena, that it was snowing now and it was not possible to get violets. Helena was very rude with Morukla. She told her, you go and get violets for me and don't argue or I will kill you. The stepmother caught hold of Morukla, turned her out of the door and slammed it to after her. Morukla went into the forest, weeping bitterly. The snow lay deep and there wasn't a human footprint to be seen. Morukla wandered about for a long time, tortured by hunger and trembling with cold. At last, she saw a light in the distance. She went towards the glow, which came from the top of a mountain. A big fire was burning there, and round the fire were 12 stones with 12 men sitting on them. 3 of them had snow-white beards. 3 were not so old, and 3 were still younger. The 3 youngest were the handsomest of them all. They were not speaking, but all sitting silent. These 12 men were the 12 months. Great January sat highest of all. His hair and beard were as white as snow, and in his hand he held a club. Morukla was frightened. She stood still for a time in terror, but growing bolder, she went up to them and said, Please, kind sirs, let me warm my hands at your fire. Great January nodded and asked her, Why have you come here, my dear little girl? What are you looking for? I am looking for violets, answered Morukla. This is no time to be looking for violets, for everything is covered with snow, answered Great January. The 12 men sitting around the fireplace were the 12 months of the year. The oldest of them was Great January. Little Morukla requested the men if she could sit amongst them to warm herself. Great January asks Morukla what she was doing there. Morukla replies saying she was looking for violet flowers. Great January says that it is snowing heavily and in this month violets are not available. Yes, I know, but my sister Helena and my stepmother said that I must bring some violets from the forest. If I don't bring them, they'll kill me. Tell me, fathers, please tell me where I can find them. Great January stood up and went to one of the younger months. It was March, and giving him the club, he said, Brother, take the high seat. March took the high seat upon the stone and waved the club over the fire. The fire blazed up. The snow began to melt. The trees began to bud, and the ground was at once covered with grass. It was springtime. The violets began to bloom among their little leaves, And before Morukla had time to think, so many of them had sprung up that they looked like a blue cloth spread out on the ground. Now, pick them quickly, Morukla commanded March. Morukla picked them joyfully till she had a big bunch. Then she thanked the months with all her heart and scampered merrily home. Helena and the stepmother wondered when they saw Morukla bringing the violets. They opened the door to her, and the scent of violets filled all the cottage. "Where did you get them?" asked Helena sulkily. "They are growing under the bushes in a forest on the high mountains." Helena snatched all the flowers and did not give even a single one to her sister. Morukla's stepmother and sister Helena was surprised to see that Morukla had managed to get the violet flowers. Helena at once snatched away all the violet flowers from Morukla. She asked her, "Where did you get these flowers from?" Morukla replied by saying, "In the high mountains, in the forest, under the bushes, there are some violets growing. That's where I found them." Helena did not give even one violet to Morukla. The next day, she called to her sister and said, "Go, Morukla, and get me some strawberries from the forest." "Alas, dear sister, where could I find any strawberries in this hard winter?" said Morukla. "How dare you argue? Go at once and get me the strawberries, or I'll kill you." The stepmother caught hold of Morukla and pushed her out of the door and shut it after her. Morukla went to the forest weeping bitterly. The snow was lying deep, and there wasn't a human footprint to be seen anywhere. She wandered about for a long time, tortured by hunger and trembling with cold. At last, she saw the light she had seen the other day. Overjoyed, she went towards it. She came to the great fire with the 12 months sitting around it. "Please, kind sirs, let me warm my hands at the fire." Great January nodded and asked her, "Why have you come again? And what are you looking for here?" "I am looking for strawberries. My sister Helena and my stepmother bade me bring some strawberries, and if I don't, they will kill me. Tell me, fathers, tell me, please, where I can find them." Great January arose. He went over to the month sitting opposite to him. It was June, and handed the club to him, saying, "Brother, take the high seat." June took the high seat upon the stone and swung the club over the fire. The fire shot up, and its heat melted the snow in a moment. The ground was all green. The trees were covered with leaves. The birds began to sing, and the forest was filled with all kinds of flowers. It was summer. The ground under the bushes was covered with white starlets. The starry blossoms were turning into strawberries every minute. They ripened at once, and before Morukla had time to think, there were so many of them that it looked as though a red carpet had been spread on the ground. "Pick them at once, Morukla," commanded June. Morukla picked them joyfully till she had filled her apron full. Then she thanked the months with all her heart and scampered merrily home. Helena and the stepmother wondered when they saw Morukla bringing the strawberries. Her apron was full of them. Where did you pick them? Asked Helena sulkily. There are plenty of them growing in the forest on the high mountains. Helena took all the strawberries and ate them all up with her mother. They didn't leave even a single one for Morokla. On the third day, Helena ordered, Morokla, go into the forest and get me some red apples. The stepmother caught hold of Morokla and without giving her a chance to speak, pushed her out of the door and shut it after her. Morokla went to the forest again, weeping bitterly. But she didn't wander about this time. She ran straight to the top of the mountain where the big fire was burning and the 12 months were sitting round the fire. Please, kind sirs, help me. Great January nodded and asked her, What are you looking for today? I am looking for red apples. If I don't bring them, my sister and my mother will kill me. Tell me, father, tell me, please, where I could find them. Great January rose up. He went over to one of the older months. It was September. He handed the club to him and said, Brother, take the high seat. Month September took the high seat upon the stone and swung the club over the fire. The fire began to burn. With a red flame, the snow began to melt. But there was a cold wind that sent the faded leaves down to the ground. It was autumn. Morokla saw just one apple tree with red apples hanging high among its branches. Shake the tree at once, Morokla, commanded September. Right, gladly, Morokla shook the tree, and first one apple fell down, and then another. Now, Morokla, that's enough. Run home quickly, shouted the months. Morokla obeyed at once. She picked up the apples, thanked the months with all her heart, and ran merrily home. What was Helena's demand this time? First she asked for violet flowers, then strawberries, and now red apples. Morokla was once again thrown out of home. She ran towards the burning fire where the 12 men representing the 12 months were sitting. She pleaded them that she needed red apples or her stepmother and sister would kill her. Helena and the stepmother wondered when they saw Morokla bringing the 2 apples. Where did you get them? Asked Helena. I found them in the forest on the high mountain. And why didn't you bring more? Or did you eat them on the way home? Said Helena harshly. Alas, dear sister, I haven't even tasted them. I shook the tree twice. 2 apples fell down, and they wouldn't let me shake the tree again. They shouted to me to go straight home, protested Morokla. May you be struck to death by lightning, said the wicked Helena, and began to eat the apple. It tasted so delicious that she told her mother she had never tasted anything so nice in all her life. The stepmother liked it too. When they had finished, they wanted some more. Mother, give me my fur coat. Let's go to the forest ourselves and get the apples. That ragged little wretch would eat them all up again on her way home. We'll find the place all right and I'll shake them all down, however they shout at me. Her mother agreed readily. They wrapped themselves in fur coats and shawls, and off they went to the forest. The snow lay deep, and they wandered about for a long time. But at last they saw the top of the mountain where the big fire was burning and the 12 months were sitting. They stepped up to the fire and stretched out their hands to warm them, without asking permission or speaking one polite word. "Why have you come here? And what are you looking for?" asked Great January crossly. "Why do you want to know, you old fool?" replied Helena angrily. "It's no business of yours," said her mother. Great January frowned and swung the club over his head. The sky grew dark in a moment. The fire burnt low. The snow began to fall thick, and an icy wind began to blow through the forest. Helena and her mother couldn't see one step in front of them. They tried to find their way out, but the snow fell in huge masses and soon they were lost in it. Great January was very crossed at Helena and her mother's behavior. He asked them, "What have you come here for?" At this, Helena very rudely replied, "Why do you need to know, you old fool?" Helena's mother also was very rude with Great January. Great January got very angry. He swung his club in the air and suddenly it started snowing heavily. The wind also started blowing more strongly. Helena and her mother could not see anything and they got lost in the snow. At home, Morukla waited and waited, and yet Helena and her mother did not come back. When she went to search for them, she found neither her mother and sister nor the 12 months in the forest. At last, she returned home sadly. So, good Morukla inherited the cottage and the land around it. She married a kind husband and they both lived happily ever after. Morukla waited and waited at home for her stepsister and stepmother to return. When they did not return, Morukla herself went out looking for them in the forest, but she did not find her stepsister, her stepmother, or even the 12 men. Morukla sadly returned back home. After some time, Morukla inherited the cottage. She also inherited the land around the cottage. She married a kind husband and they both lived happily ever after. Children, did you like the story of Helena and Morukla? I loved this story. Morukla was kind, polite, and gentle-hearted. She was a very hard-working girl, while Helena was very rude, angry, and greedy. You saw in the story how Morukla does her best to satisfy her greedy sister and mother. But Helena, her greed continues to grow, and in the end, you see what happens. So let us take a lesson from this story for ourselves. Children, let's do an activity now. We will learn something new and fun in it. Okay, now tell me, everything around you has a name, doesn't it? For example, your school has a name. Your teacher has a name. Your little pet dog also has a name. And things that we see around us or in a classroom, table, chairs, board, Everything has been given a name. Am I right? So the names given to persons, places, animals and things are all called naming words or nouns. Let me give you one more example. My name is Janessa. So Janessa is the noun here. Let us now take our textbooks and read the first page. Try to underline the name given to people, places, animals and things. Okay, let's all do this together. Children, were you able to find any naming words or nouns in the textbook? Come, let me show you some of the words that I have underlined. We were looking for names of people, places, animals or things. So I have found in the first line the word country. Country is a place. Next word, mother. Mother is the name of a person. Daughters. Again, name of a person. Morukla. Name of a person. Holena. Name of a person. Cottage. Name of a place. Violets. Violets are flowers. Name of a thing. Forest. Again, name of a place. So like this, while you are reading the lesson, you can underline naming words or nouns. Nouns are names given to people, places, animals or things. Children, I hope you enjoyed today's session. Now I would like you to make some time and once again read the lesson, the 12 months, and share it with your friends and family. I would also like if you can make a list of different festivals that are celebrated across the 12 months. You can do this with the help of your friends and family members. Children, till we meet next time, please take care. Bye-bye and stay safe.